was just thinking about solving multi-step equations. So here's what I was thinking. The steps to solve it are, well, step number one, everybody knows that. That's to write the equation down. So we've written the equation down. Step number two today is going to be to look to see if there's any parentheses. If there are parentheses, we're going to have to open those parentheses up using the distributive property. All right? Step number three will be to combine like terms if there are any. Okay? So we're going to look and see if there's any like terms. If there are, we're going to combine them. Step number four is to undo any addition or subtraction. Once we've done that, we're going to look to see if there's any multiplication or division to undo. So there are our steps. Write the equation down, open parentheses if needed, combine like terms if needed, undo any addition or subtraction, and then undo any multiplication or division. Let's put these steps to work. Here's our first example. 3x minus 8 minus 8x is equal to 42. We just did the first step. We wrote it down. Second step, are there any parentheses? No, there are not. Are there any like terms that we can combine? Well, I believe there are, so let's look at that. I see a 3x and I see a negative 8x. When I put those together, when I combine those, I get negative 5x. So now we have negative 5x minus 8 is equal to 42. Our next step is to undo any addition or subtraction. Well, they're subtracting 8. The inverse of subtracting 8 is adding 8. So we're going to add 8 to both sides of our equation. When we do that, subtracting 8 and adding 8 gives you 0, and negative 5x minus 0 is still just 0, or excuse me, negative 5x. And on the other side, we have 42 plus 8, which is 50. So we have negative 5x is equal to 50. Since they're multiplying x by negative 5, the inverse of that is dividing by negative 5. So we'll divide both sides by negative 5. That'll isolate the variable, so we will have x is equal to negative 10. All right, let's take a look at another example here. Go ahead and let's do step number one together and write it down. So we have negative 8 times the sum of 2m and 5 is equal to 8. So we did step number one. Step number two, are there any parentheses to be opened up? Well, yes, there are. So we're going to have to use distributive property and multiply both add-ins inside by negative 8. That's going to result in negative 16m minus 40 is equal to 8. Now we're going to check to see if there's any like terms to combine. There are no like terms, so we're going to move on to the next step, which is to undo any addition or subtraction. They are subtracting 40, so we need to do the inverse and add 40 to both sides. In doing so, the 40s on the side of the variable, they're going to cancel each other out, leaving us with negative 16m is equal to 48. Well, negative 16m means negative 16 times n. We need to do the inverse so we can isolate the variable. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 16. When we do that, we're going to end up with m is equal to negative 3. One more example and then you guys will be off and running. So let's do step number one together. You write it down as I read it. So this one is 9 times the difference of a and 2 plus 15 is equal to 42. So we did step number one. Step number two, we need to check to see if there are any parentheses. There are, so we need to use the distributive property, and we're going to multiply everything inside the parenthesis by 9. That will give us 9a minus 18 plus 15 is equal to 42. Next step is to see if there's any like terms that can be combined. When I look for my like terms, I see that I have two constants that I can put together. I have a negative 18 that I can combine with a positive 15, and that will result in 9a minus 3 is equal to 42. Now we're going to undo any addition or subtraction. They're subtracting 3. The inverse of subtracting 3 is to add 3 to both sides. So we're going to go ahead and add 3. The 3's on the side of the variable will cancel out, leaving us with 9a. And on the other side, we have 45. So we have 9a is equal to 45. Our last step is to undo any multiplication or division. They're multiplying our variable by 9. The inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 9. When we do that, we isolate the variable a, and on the other side we have 45 divided by 9, which is 5. So we have a is equal to 45. I hope that's enough to get you guys started on today's assignment, and if you need any help, just be sure to reach out. Have a good one.